Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Today I'm going to continue on the unveiling of the unseen by the Quran, a historical perspective, which is the chapter in Hazrat Masih Rabi Ramalla's book, Revelation, Rationality, Knowledge, and Truth. So these are the prophecies which are found in the Holy Quran. So today I'm going to go from those prophecies from page 602 to 606. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The following verse clearly illustrates this phrase of human advancement in science and technology, which would make it literally possible for him to probe into the vast expanse of the universe. لا يسمعون إلى الملأ الأعلى ويقذفون من كل جانب دحورا ولهم عذاب واصب. However much they strain their ears to eavesdrop on whatever passes in the lofty celestial chambers, they will not be able to do so without being pelted from all sides, repulsed, and for them will be a perpetual punishment. And concerning the ambition of man to conquer space physically to its very limits, the following is the challenge which the Quran throws to all who seek the conquest of space by their high or low. Before we quote the relevant verse, it is essential to clarify the nature of its address. The translation, the company of the jinn and the company of the men, does not do full justice to the message implied. The word jinn does not indicate here a ghost-like existence different from humans. Instead, as also mentioned earlier, it is frequently employed to indicate big people as against the common people who are referred to as Annas. Hence, the true import of this address would perhaps be better understood if it were translated as O company of the capitalist powers and O company of the proletariat. Now we quote the verse and its translation taken from Maulvi Sher Ali. يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. O company of jinn and men, if you have the power to go beyond the confines of the heavens and the earth, then do go, but you cannot go save with authority. Chapter 55, verses 34. We humbly suggest that a more appropriate translation in this context should have been accept with the help of most powerful deductive logic. This means that although physically unable to transcend the boundaries of the universe, man would still be able to reach the limits of the universe as far as the extension of his knowledge is concerned. We have the following reasons to support this inference. The translation save with authority can in fact create the opposite impression to what the Quran actually intends to convey, which is a categorical denial of the possibility of physical conquest of space by man to its outer limits. Authority is not the only means of the word al-Sultan. It can be simultaneously translated as a mighty monarch, a powerful argument, or strong deductive logic. Hence, it may signify that man will still be able to reach across the boundaries of the universe through powerful logical deduction. What is clearly denied is not just a short hop or two into space. What is denied is the ability of man to reach the limits of the universe with his physical body. Incidentally, the hazards of attending upon space flights are also mentioned as follows. يُرْسَلُ عَلَيْكُمَا شُوَاظٌ مِّن نَّارٍ وَنُحَاسٌ فَلَا تَنتَصِرُونَ. There shall be sent against you blasts of fire and smoke, and you shall not be able to help yourselves. Chapter 55, verses 36. This verse, in fact, draws a clear picture of cosmic rays rather than that of ordinary flames of fire. Having elaborated the implied meaning of verse 12 of Surah Al-Takwir with the help of the above quoted verses of Surah Al-Rahman, chapter 55, we now return to Al-Takwir from where we left off. It is a strange coincidence that we finish our comments on the verses of Surah Al-Rahman with the warning of perpetual punishment by fire. This exactly is the subject of discussion of verse 13, Surah Al-Takwir, which we intend to elaborate now. وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِّرَتْ, and when the hellfire will be made to rage. Chapter 81, verses 13. And then Huzur, he says here, the expression hellfire refers to such wars as would create the impression that all hell has broken loose. Hence, this is the warning delivered in this verse. This is the only feasible interpretation in the context of the preceding prophecies, which speak without exception of the events of this world. It would appear very odd indeed if man is told that at some time while these events are taking place here on earth, hellfire would be raging above in an otherworldly space. The sequence of prophecies thus reaches its logical conclusion. Material progress, however massive it may be, cannot be of any avail to man if he gains his worldly ambitions at the cost of God's pleasure. The hour of punishment must arrive and strike man down despite all his material might. But no calamity will befall him from on high as such. He will build his own hellfire himself, and his selfishness will create such global tensions as are bound to culminate in hellish wars. Looking back at the history of the two world wars, this interpretation no longer remains an academic exercise, but acquires a substantial threat. So it's Huzur is referring to the last two world wars. So they're saying that this is not something that we just like have a theory that that they can perhaps be talking about wars that are in this world and that will happen to such extent, which is described here, so hellish. And he's saying here that because we have experienced it, so we know that this has happened and this prophecy has come true, and also the much more severe threat is there, because we know the potential now with the warfare and the materials that we have to do such damage in the future. So Huzur says that this exercise so far has brought a bold relief, the contrast between the tragic decline of Islam and the rise of non-Muslim powers. The verse under study clearly depicts that the global domination of materialism will not last perpetually. So Hazur says that the verse under study clearly is indicating that this domination of materialism, which is replacement of the Muslim power, is not something that will last forever. The downfall of the materialistic powers will begin with growing mutual enmities, which will culminate in horrendous catastrophes of their own making. Wars will follow one after the other. They will be rekindled and quenched yet again, leaving behind the ashes of the mighty powers which will incinerate themselves. The two global wars have already dented the unchanged might of the superpowers, while the weaker and the poorer nations have relatively emerged with a sense of having gained some measure of their lost dignity. The balance is far from tilted as yet to have reached a critical stage, but though slowly, time is certainly moving in the direction of a global revolution. It is that revolution which is predicted in the Quran to be the ultimate revolution of Islam, lest it should seem an overgeneralized, unsubstantiated statement. We shall produce in the following chapter some sound competent evidence to dispel such doubts. So Huzur Huzur says that based on the direct messages contained in many a verse of the Quran, the Holy Prophet ﷺ has clearly predicted the ultimate outcome of the global conflict during the latter days. This he has done with reference to the advent of the Antichrist, but it should be clarified at the outset that his image, as it arises from the traditions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, is not in reality a freakish as might appear on the surface. So it's talking here that when he's referring to Antichrist, this is another word for Dajjal. This is a word which is used in the Bible, and Dajjal is the same prophesied, personage or people who are predicted to come in the future. And Huzur is saying that this is the way in which traditions have been understood, the image of some strange, freakish, some very weird, Antichrist person. This is not what the traditions are pointing to. So Huzur says that it refers to the Antichrist in a manner that seems to combine in him the power, that is, again, the Antichrist is the Dajjal. So it refers to the Antichrist or Dajjal in a manner that seems to combine in him the power and might of immensely powerful nations. In fact, the entire age of the latter days is mentioned by the Holy Prophet ﷺ as the age of the Antichrist. All signs of the age are mentioned with reference to him. Among the signs which assist his identification is a category devoted specifically to the new modes of travel, of which man had no experience before. So that all these prophecies that which we have already gone through. And if you have been in my class, like this is now the 7th class so far, which I've highlighted the prophecies which Huzur has been talking about. Some of them do not pertain to this age, the age of the Industrial Revolution and the new modes of travel. But mostly we have been covering them now. And Huzur is saying that this is that era in which we are in, where these are the indications of that, the dominance of that Dajjal, and of that Dajjal's age. That's the time when the Messiah would come. And so this is something very important, and it's not just something academic, something that we're just going through, just to learn the prophecy just for our faith alone. Although it is our faith, but we should understand in what way, because this is particularly pertaining to the age which we're living in. Not something that happened in the past, but this is something that is happening. We are experiencing it, and when we learn about it, we understand more and more that the Holy Quran is talking about the time which we're in, the industrial revolution age, and the age of the new transportation. Huzur says that a detailed account of what the Antichrist would be and how he would dominate the world leaves no shadow of doubt in the mind of any unbiased reader that it is not a single person to whom these prophecies refer. The term Antichrist, as used by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is only symbolic. So his Huzur is trying to explain about the Dajjal, that it's not a person, it's not some big creature or monster that's going to come. This is a symbolic representation of a group of people. Then he says that he would be a symbol of the mighty powers of his age, and his exploits would in fact be the exploits of many highly advanced and powerful Christian nations of the world. But their supremacy would not last forever. The ultimate downfall of the Antichrist, who symbolizes them, is also predicted in no uncertain terms. From the ruins of materialism would rise once again the sun of Islam, unveiling its radiant beauty as it casts away the covers of doubt and suspicion which had enwrapped it for many a dismal century. So here Huzur, he is explaining as when we started this subject in this chapter from his book about unveiling the unseen, and he starts by explaining that there is a time when Islam will go into its downfall, and there will come up a powerful nation which will be materialistic in place of Muslim power. And then all of the prophecies pertaining to this age have been explained. And Huzur says that this is also the time when, after 1,000 years, when that power would come up, meaning that the power of Islam, the supremacy of Islam will come up, because the power of the materialistic society would vanish, would come to an end through and through from their own hands. And then again, that turn towards the sun of Islam, the rise of Islam again in in its beauty and all its, as Huzur said, radiant beauty, and would uncover all the doubts and suspicions which had, Huzur said, enwrapped it for many a dismal century. So we pray, and we know that until that time comes, there is going to be many things that will happen in the world, but we do pray that the time will come when the true face of Islam will come to be known to the world, and that people will start to understand the true beauty of the religion of Islam. And it's, at essence, it is a message for the betterment of mankind, and at its core, for the betterment of mankind, and a guidance for people to find their way towards Allah and make themselves happy and have a relationship with Allah. So with that, inshallah, I'll continue what Huzur says about this. But Huzur is really very beautifully in this whole chapter has brought it around, beginning from the point of its downfall, and then bringing it around to the prophecy where we see it once again, that Islam is going to be on its rise again. And inshallah, we should pray also. And as I mentioned before, that when we read the Holy Quran and we try to understand it, and we hear about the prophecies and we hear about the any beneficial thing, we should always pray that may Allah help us so that we can be a part of that, and may Allah protect us so we will not be of those unfortunate people who would be away and wouldn't be from among those Muslims and among those believers who are benefiting from the rise of Islam and benefiting in terms of being part of it. Well, Jazakallah, inshallah, I'll continue this on Wednesday. And thanks for everyone for being here in this class today. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.